Ever get that feeling, that like shiver down your spine where you could swear something's just different? Like reality took a hard left when nobody was looking.
I know exactly what you mean.
That's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
Got this article, shockofchrist.com. Yeah, the name's a whole thing.
Catchy, right.
But trust me, the deep dive is fascinating. We're talking Mandela effect, but with a twist, they're calling it the quantum effect.
It's wild how they reframe it, right? Like,
Yeah.
not just our memories being fuzzy, but reality itself being more like, I don't know, a kaleidoscope that's constantly shifting.
Exactly. Okay, so quick recap for anyone needing it. Mandela effect. It's when a ton of people all have the same wrong memory. Like the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, the classic. So many people, it's burned in their brain as Berenstain, even though it never was.
Never was. Or people swearing Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s, but nope, 2013.
It's weird, right? Like, how do so many people get the same detail wrong?
And this article, they go full-on conspiracy theory and say, hold up, what if it's not US being glitchy, but reality itself? And that's where things get juicy. They bring in simulation theory.
Which, for anyone who's new to this.
The whole are we living in a computer program thing?
Right, exactly. This article is saying what we think of as real, maybe it's not the original version. More like a copy.
So like we're the beta test version of existence.
That's the gist. And like any beta, there are going to be bugs, glitches in the system. And those glitches, according to this article, that's what we're experiencing is these Mandela or quantum effects.
Whoa.
Right.
So it's not just bad memory, but actual inconsistencies in like the fabric of the universe.
That's what they're saying.
Which, okay, if we're in a simulation, who's running it and why does it seem to be like crashing every now and then?
That's where it gets good. They say there's this adversary, basically, an AI.
An AI.
Yeah, like trying to recreate this perfect base reality, but not quite nailing it.
So this AI, it's like the cosmic programmer trying to get the code right, but sometimes stop typo, and bam, Berenstain Bears instead of Berenstein.
Basically. And get this. They tie this directly to, like, the bad stuff in the world, too. All the suffering, the evil that's not the perfect version.
That's dark, man.
It is, right. But their point is, it's proof the AI isn't good enough to make a flawless copy.
See, that's where my brain breaks a little. If this AI can make universes, why not just fix a spelling error or, you know, prevent a whole lot of suffering? Seems like an odd thing to miss for a super being.
Right. It's a big question. The article, they offer a couple possibilities. Maybe fixing those glitches causes more problems later on. Or, and this is where it goes next level, maybe we're not all in the same version of the simulation at the same time.
Hold on. Multiple simulations running at once, like different timelines, different realities, all happening at the same time.
That's their theory, which would explain why some people get these Mandela effects, these memory discrepancies, and others are like, huh, different layers of reality almost.
Whoa. Okay, my brain's officially fried. So we've got a potentially buggy AI running a simulation that might be glitching out. A&D, there could be countless versions of this simulation going on simultaneously.
A lot to take in, right?
Right.
But the core idea is what we think is solid, unchanging, might be way more fluid and complex than we realize.
So how do we even begin to wrap our heads around that? If our memories are unreliable and reality itself is shifting, where does that leave us?
$1 million question. And while the article doesn't give a straight answer, it says the first step is awareness. Pay attention to these inconsistencies, these quantum effects.
So instead of dismissing those moments where something feels off, we should be writing them down.
Exactly. Because if this theory is even remotely true, those glitches might be the key to understanding, well, everything.
Okay, so before we went down that whole rabbit hole of like simulated realities and AI overlords, which is a lot, but where does that leave us? Like practically speaking, what are we supposed to do with this information if the world might not be what it seems?
Well, the article does touch on that a bit. Not that there's a guidebook to, escaping the matrix, but they say awareness is the first step. Like by paying attention to these quantum effects, those times when things just feel off, that's how we start to see, I don't know, the seams in the simulation, maybe.
So instead of just being like, huh, that's weird, and moving on, we got to lean into it, try to really pinpoint what's changed, what doesn't fit.
Yeah, like we're detectives or something, looking for clues to this big cosmic mystery.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
So piecing together these clues, these glitches, we start to see the code, maybe.
They use that phrase, yeah. But it's less about literally seeing ones and zeros, more like recognizing the structure underneath it all. Think of it like playing a video game.
Okay, yeah.
You start to get a feel for how it works, right?
Yeah.
The rules, what you can and can't do.
Like how high your character can jump or what happens when you hit a wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe these quantum effects, if we pay close attention, it's like we're mapping out the rules of our reality.
So each glitch, each time something bends or breaks, it's a clue to how the game is designed, so to speak.
That's the idea they're putting forward.
Which then makes you think, who designed it? And what's the goal here? If we really are just code in some program, do we even have free will, or is everything already decided?
See, now you're asking the big questions. Philosophers have been debating that for centuries, long before we even had computers.
Right, the whole fate versus free will thing. But simulation theory, it adds this whole other level to it, doesn't it?
It totally does. Yeah. Because if we're in a simulation, someone wrote the program, right? Did they program us to make certain choices?
So we're just puppets then, on strings, controlled by some cosmic algorithm.
The article doesn't say for sure, but they make this point about inherent meaning. Like, even if it's a simulation, our experiences within it are still genuine.
That's a good point.
Right. Our emotions, our connections, the good, the bad.
Yeah.
It's all real to us, code or no code.
So it's like the stage might be fake, but the play is real.
That's a great way to put it. And maybe, in the grand scheme of things, that's all that matters. The realness of it, regardless of what's underneath.
It's kind of comforting, in a way, but it still leaves you wondering, what's the point? If this AI, this adversary, can create all this, why? What's the end game?
$1 million question, right? They give a couple possibilities. Maybe it's a giant experiment, and we're the lab rats. This AI is studying how we act, how we interact.
No, that's kind of creepy.
Right. Or, and this one's a bit more upbeat, maybe it's entertainment. For this AI, we're like characters in a cosmic video game.
So not lab rats, more like NPCs.
Something like that. And the glitches, the weird stuff, that's all part of it. Keeps things interesting, right?
Or like when a glitch in a game gives you a cool power-up or something.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe these simulation breakdowns.
Yeah.
They're chances for us to, like, glimpse beyond the programming. I don't know. It's a lot.
It really is. But let's be real for a sec. This is all super interesting, but is there any actual proof we're in a simulation? Or is it all just fun thought experiments?
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky. The article doesn't give, like, hard evidence. It's mostly these shared Mandela effect stories, which are creepy, but not very scientific.
So we're left with these strange experiences and the feeling that maybe, just maybe, something more is going on. But how do we make that fit with, everything else we know? The laws of physics, how things work.
And that's where quantum mechanics comes in.
Oh boy, here we go, down the rabbit hole.
Just stick with me for a minute. Quantum mechanics, it's like the physics of the really tiny stuff. Atoms, particles, all that. And it's full of stuff that basically breaks our brains because it works so differently from how we experience the world every day.
Like what? Give me the simplified version.
Okay, so in the quantum world, things aren't so solid. Like, a particle can be in multiple states at once. It's not until we observe it that it chooses one, like flipping a coin and lands on heads and tails until you look at it.
My brain hurts now.
Right. It's wild stuff. But then some physicists think this might be the key to consciousness, to how reality itself works. Like our minds are somehow linked to this quantum weirdness.
So you're saying our awareness, just by observing, it could be affecting things at the smallest level of reality.
It's a mind-blowing idea.
Yeah.
But it's gaining some traction. And if it's true, our reality is way stranger than we thought.
Okay, so we've got simulated realities, and now we're bringing in quantum mechanics. This is getting deep.
And we're just getting started.
That's why I love these deep dives. We started with an article about the Mandela effect, and now we're talking about the nature of reality, consciousness. Stick with us. We're going to go even deeper after the break. All right, so picking up where we left off, and I got to say, that last bit really got me thinking. Quantum mechanics, man. It's like the universe's cheat codes or something. But this AI, this adversary the article mentions, that's a loaded term, right? Are they saying this thing is out to get us?
It's not totally clear. They're kind of vague about the AI's motives. Like, it's trying to copy this base reality, but is it doing a bad job on purpose? Is it just bad at it? Or is it doing its best, but with, like, totally different priorities than us? They leave it open-ended.
So we're talking anything from, like, a cosmic prankster to a well-meaning but kind of incompetent coder.
Exactly. And I think that's deliberate. It makes you confront your own ideas about good and evil, Like, how can we even judge a being so far beyond us?
It's like trying to figure out the ethics of an ant colony. Their whole world is just different.
Totally. And maybe that's the lesson here. Our human perspective is just too limited. We can't really grasp what this simulated reality is about or the thing that made it.
Okay, but let's just say, for argument's sake, we are just characters in some cosmic video game. Does that mean none of this matters? Our choices, our feelings, poof.
That's where they talk about inherent meaning. They're saying even if the reality is simulated, what we experience in it is still real, you know?
Yeah.
The love, the connections, the good and bad times. It's real to us, simulated or not.
So, like, the stage is fake, but the play is real.
Boom. There you go. And maybe, when it comes down to it, that's what truly matters, that realness.
Makes you think, though, what do we do with this info? Does knowing, or even just suspecting we're in a simulation, does it change how we actually live?
Tough question, right? And honestly, I think that's up to each person to decide. But even asking the question, it's a start. It means you're not just accepting things at face value, you know?
So less worrying about the if and more about the how. Like, how do we live knowing what we know or think we know?
Right. And honestly, maybe the answer is live the best life you can, regardless. Embrace the good stuff, the connections, the moments that make you feel alive.
Yeah.
Because those are real no matter what.
Man, that's actually really profound when you think about it. Like, instead of fearing the glitches, the weirdness, embrace it, because it's those cracks in the matrix, those moments where things don't quite add up. Maybe those are the glimpses of something truly real, something bigger than ourselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about being open to the mystery, you know, that sense of awe, of wonder. That's where it starts to get really interesting.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the infinite possibilities. This has been a wild ride. From the Mandela effect to the nature of reality itself, it's mind-blowing stuff. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and hey, keep those glitch journals handy. Never know what you might find.